Real Madrid president Florentino Perez blocks signing of Liverpool star. Liverpool are at real risk of losing Ibrahima Konate, who has less than 6 months remaining on his contract. The Frenchman has played almost every minute for the Reds in the Premier League and Champions League this season, but he is yet to put pen to paper on a new deal. Negotiations over a contract renewal have reportedly been underway for some time, but are yet to bear fruit, and it looks increasingly likely that the 26-year-old will leave Anfield in the summer. Foreign clubs are already free to talk to Konate, and it looked for a while like Real Madrid were going to move for him, but that deal no longer looks likely. Now, a report from Spain has revealed exactly why Los Blancos cooled their interest in the Liverpool star. Why don't Real Madrid want Konate? Reports from early in the season had suggested that signing Konate on a free transfer was going to be a priority for Real Madrid in the summer, but their interest seems to have faded almost entirely. Several poor performances from the Frenchman this season have no doubt contributed to Los Blancos moving on, but according to a report from Fichajes, the decision to abandon interest in Konate came right from the very top. According to the report, Florentino Perez himself vetoed a move for Konate, feeling that he doesn't match the profile of defender the club want in Madrid: reliable and low risk. Real Madrid's interest in Konate stretches back a number of seasons, but the defender's performances this season have been enough for the club to move on to other targets, at least 4. Will Konate leave Liverpool? As the end of the season draws closer, an exit for Konate feels more likely. A new deal could still be agreed, but either the player or the club would have to make significant sacrifices in order for that to happen. PSG also hold a long-standing interest in Konate, and if he doesn't agree terms with Liverpool, then it may well be PSG who capitalize. An exit isn't yet guaranteed, and Real Madrid cooling their interest will make negotiations a bit easier for Liverpool, but Konate's future at Anfield is not secure. Arne Slot's first title defense with Liverpool has not gone to plan. The Reds have been nothing short of disappointing this season. Despite winning the Premier League at a canter in his maiden campaign with the club, Slot has failed to maintain his early success at Anfield. When the champions spent over £400 million in the summer, almost everyone assumed that they would at least be strong challengers for the Premier League this season, but their title charge was over by mid-November. The Reds are unbeaten in 9 matches, but the team is still performing at an incredibly lackluster level, and Slot is once again in the firing line. What has gone wrong for Slot this season? It cannot be overlooked that Liverpool are suffering from an injury crisis. At times the Reds have barely been able to field an 11 of senior players. That is not the sole cause of the club's miserable form this season, though. Slot has implemented a number of tactical changes this season, some presumably to accommodate the 6 new signings that arrived at Anfield in the summer. A new formation was briefly used, utilizing 4 midfielders instead of 3, but a serious injury to club record signing Alexander Isak seems to have brought a swift end to that experiment. Despite being unbeaten in 9, the Reds have looked outclassed tactically on several occasions in recent weeks, and still look a long way away from being a team ready to challenge for a title. Is Slot entirely to blame for Liverpool's woes? It is incredibly rare that blame for a football club's failings can fall on one person, and the same is true at Anfield right now. Slot is not the only culprit for Liverpool's struggles. The club's summer recruitment led by Richard Hughes has left clear gaps in the squad, presumably to be filled either in this January window or next summer. Some feel that Hughes and the other executives behind Liverpool's transfer dealings should bear the brunt of the criticism for the champion's downfall. Neal Atkinson of the Anfield Wrap shared his discontent with the club's recruitment team after the draw to Fulham, saying, "I don't think it's right that the people who are ultimately responsible for those decisions never speak about them in public. The issues at Liverpool are clearly more widespread than just the head coach, but Slot is not blameless." Slot's tactical blunders. There are a number of tactical decisions that supporters have taken exception to this season. Slot persists with the same core of players despite having a combination of experience, Federico Chiesa, and promising youth, Rio Numoha, on the bench. Cody Gakpo's position in the side looks untouchable currently, despite the Dutchman's tendency to cut in and shoot from the left becoming incredibly predictable to opposition defenders. The fullbacks have often been instructed to play very narrow, hindering the performances of Milos Kerkez especially. Why? Ibrahima Konate has played almost every minute for Liverpool this season despite making repeated errors. Some of these issues are a direct result of recruitment decisions, more specifically decisions to sell players last summer, but Slot has to shoulder the responsibility for poor tactics this campaign. Although he may not have as big a say in recruitment, Slot is the man who ultimately chooses how Liverpool play their football every week. After Sunday's draw, the Dutchman gave some insight into his preferred philosophy, telling the press, "I didn't change as a manager. I would love to play with 8 attackers if that's possible defensively, but if those 8 attackers don't defend enough, it's hard to win a game of football." There is some irony in Slot making that comment after a game in which he left Chiesa and Numoha, 2 Natura L attackers, on the bench and started Florian Wirtz and Dominik Szobzlia out of position instead. Is Slot in danger of losing his job? There doesn't appear to be much danger of Slot's dismissal being imminent, but there is still immense pressure on the 47-year-old. Liverpool suffered their worst run of form in recent memory earlier in the season, losing 9 in a 12-game stretch. The results have improved since, but the performances still leave plenty to be desired. Both Chelsea and Manchester United have sacked their managers in the past week, despite only sitting 3 points behind Liverpool. Slot's position seems safe for now, but improvement is needed for the Dutchman to secure his long-term future at Anfield. Shortly after Edwards' return was confirmed, Hughes was announced as Liverpool's director of football and the pair were put in charge of finding Jurgen Klopp's successor. Arne Slot was eventually appointed as the Reds' new head coach, and that decision paid off as the Dutchman won the Premier League. At the first time of asking. Now, as pressure mounts on Slot during a tough second season, a £10 million mistake made by the people who hired him is becoming apparent. One of the biggest talking points with Ruben Amorim's sacking was the fact United would have to pay out the remainder of the 18 month HS remaining on his contract up front. If Liverpool were to make the decision to move on from Slot, they would likely have to do the same. According to the Mirror, Slot earns an estimated £6 minus £8 million per year, meaning sacking the Dutchman now would cost Liverpool somewhere between £9–12 million. Slot is one of the highest paid managers in the league and, although he may have been worthy of that wage last season, giving an unproven manager such a high salary was a risk.